Help and Grow is a product and tech community in Singapore who consists of product and tech professionals working in Singapore. And Web3 is a subdomain of this community who focus on Web3 non-financial innovation. The background for this workshop, there are three main reasons. Firstly, there are few Web3 Singapore homegrown projects, especially in non-financial domain. A lot of product and tech professions are working in the big centralized exchange like Binance and OKX. In our understanding, all these big centralized exchange belong to crypto asset and fintech. Web3 is more about data ownership. The second reason for the workshop is there are a lot of articles, video, and online sharing about the Web3, but they are too general, not systematically. Hard for the newcomer to understand and learn, and hard for the hands-on. After you understand a lot of information, you still don't know how to start, enter the industry, and learn more systematically. The third reason is, I think, compared to the investor, more product and tech professions are needed for Singapore because Singapore don't lack money, but lack talent. Not just the financial talent, but one more need a lot of product and tech professions who can build product, especially for the Web3. As I mentioned earlier, we think the Web3 is more about the data ownership. We use three circles to describe what we want to express. As I mentioned earlier, the centralized exchange belong to the centralized finance. As in our understanding, is a combination of fintech and crypto. The crypto is just a asset similar to stock, gold, oil, and we're just using the fintech to deal with this crypto asset. In another part, what we want more focus is on the in the comparison to the centralized finance is a decentralized finance. A lot of decentralized exchange like Uniswap, and I think this is also a lot of people when talk about the crypto or talk about the Web3, the DEX or the DeFi takes a lot of attention, but we also think the Web3 is not just about the finance, it's about the data ownership. We based on the data ownership, we can do a lot of business model. For example, the graph is a decentralized search protocol, and everyone contributes the data to the network and get money when people access your data. So this is a very huge improvement because we can own our data. When we contribute the data to the network, we can make money by the data. I think this is a huge difference between Google because we contribute data to Google and Google make a lot of the money. But we didn't get anything as a normal user. So today is the workshop, the first time workshop. Why we emphasize on the project-based learning and practical is that we think by following a project, we can make the learning more systematically, and also with project and everybody can join to contribute his skills and experience, no matter you are product manager, designer, front-end developer, back-end developer, BD and marketing, as well as non-technical role. Before start the main content, I show you some images. This is one picture I took on the Token 2049 meeting. A guy suddenly called me and asked a picture with me. He mentioned he from Dubai and is a Web3 crypto investor. I cannot trust him because I think in the this industry a lot of cheating, but I think it's a very interesting scenario. Every of us would like to remember this moment we meet at this scenario. The second picture is I have one friend coming from Shanghai to Singapore for a business trip, but just for 1 week. We spent some time on the early morning and a bit at a Starbucks near his hotel. We cherish this moment a lot, although it's very difficult for us to find a common time, because I think after 3 years virus, we it's hard for us to meet the friends, meet the family. So I think also this is an important moment we want to remember. The third picture is my wife meets the Yi in a Yi activity in Singapore. And Yi has an NFT community, and she has a lot of fun, and she goes around the world to do some promotion for his NFT community. I think this is also a very common scenario when we meet some star and we want to have picture with them together. After have these interesting pictures, we also recap on some basic knowledge. So as I mentioned earlier, NFT so this is the NFT community Yi organized. This is the picture. She do some speaking in different scenario, and this is the simple one we mentioned earlier. So you can see a lot of people would like to join this session to learn and to study, to communicate. I think that there is some kind of scenario people like to meet people in the Web3 or crypto industry. And the POAP is a proof of tendency protocol. The scenario is one of your friends can send you a POAP, issue a token, and after I click the token using my crypto address, it will show the POAP was minted today and it is added to my collection. So this is some kind, it's like some memory. So after that, when I open my POAP application, I can see on specific day, I have such a collected such a token who issued to me about word, how many any other also collect it, and by inputting other people's address, I can also say what POAP token the guy have. So I think this is very interesting because we will attend a lot of activity. We can remember when we attend, and based on this token, maybe in the future we can get some airdrop, and we can have some access to the specific gift or some location. For example, after I join 5 times of this event, maybe in the future I can join their VIP meeting some kind. So the last business knowledge we want to mention today is about the Mirror. Mirror is some Web3 blog, so people can publishing the article. This is one example. It's very like our current blog, but the data is all stored in another Web3 protocol called Arweave. So the data is stored permanently. The most one interesting part of Arweave is the data is stored permanently. That means forever. So no person can change it, no person can delete it. And so the original scenario is to record some human history, important material, but also Mirror also use that to store these articles. So no one can delete it. Some kind of consensus resistant. So after we see the picture and recap on the basic knowledge, let's think about some interesting part to trigger ideas. First, we see 2 questions. The first question is, if you are a social media creator and one day TikTok WeChat channel at Xiaohongshu ban you suddenly, how would you respond? The second question is, how will you store the images and videos for important occasions like birthday, travel, and the wedding? How often will you revisit that? So with these two questions inside, let's go to the user story of what we want to talk about. This is another interesting point to trigger idea. This is in the Ethereum Columbia Bogota meeting, and the ENS issue a NFC enabled card to the people who has address in the ENS, and with this NFC enabled card, and you're using your phone to scan it, and it will trigger a POAP token. That means I met you at this DevCon, so it's very interesting, and introducing some kind of formal in the meeting. Some people just to chase anyone who has this ES spec, and to trigger the POAP token to try to be the guy who has the most, who has the largest number of the POAP token. I think this is a very interesting tool for some networking or some event scenario. After we see this interesting question and NFC card, we plan to talk about the user storyline of our scenario. We first think about some scenario as being, for example, firstly, I met a girl in Marina Bay Sands rooftop bar and had a great talk. I would like to impress her to have translating with her. The second scenario is I travel back to hometown from abroad to reunion with family after almost 3 years. I would like to remember such a great moment. The third scenario is I've been to Jeju Caliber World Tour Singapore and had a joint photo together with this superstar. Luckily, I would like to let all my friends know that and give me a lot of likes. So the question is, do we have some fun and meaningful way to implement of this thing by combination of crypto and finance or Web3? So this is our, we propose a MVP requirement. Maybe we see the wireframe directly. I think which is maybe easy to understand. So you can consider it is some application, maybe in your browser, and you can open that. First step is you input your ENS address, and then the reminder is let's meet. And there is a button on the screen says enable the FC and long press to meet the person in front of you. So the requirement is when you meet some people, the two people together need to press at the exactly same time in this button. And after you both enable the FC and press this button together, you two are matched. And then the application will remind, are you meeting a user who uses iPhone 14? Because in the networking or event scenario, there may be a lot of people press the button together at the same time. So by using this step to confirm whether you meet the correct person, then if you confirm, then the application will connect the local service, location service to say, oh, you too meet in Marina Bay Sands, and then the application will remind you to take a joint picture to remember such a moment. Maybe you can skip firstly, but if you click this button and you take a picture, and then the application will remind you meet a POAP NFT, which will be stored permanently. There are two concepts here. First is a POAP. We stand for proof of meet protocol. The second term is permanent. So we a combination of the Arweave to help us to store this image permanently. So then all of this data will be go on chain and to store forever. And after you mint, it will generate a picture, say at what time you two meet at where, and at this moment you definitely want to share with your friends. So there's a button here to share it with the person you met, as the picture belong to both you forever. Because this is a meet scenario, so this image and this meet data belong to both of you too. So either one of the person pay the money, pay the coin, then the image and the record is generally for 2%. So that means if a rich guy, he or she can pay all the money when he meet anybody in this meeting. So I think this is not a big money for rich guy. Then you input the EOS address of the person you meet, and then after you input the address, then the people you meet will also have the way to check the POAP token and the images you just took. And this scenario, you definitely want to share it to let everyone know that. So you can share in Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. So this is a simple MVP demo about the MVP scenario for the meeting scenario. So go back to our slides. So in this example, we based on the POAP and to design a protocol idea of POAP. And based on the POAP, we find one scenario that is we meet some people in some important event or at some important moment, or meet some superstar, and then we want to take a picture to remember this moment at this exact location. So we can use the POAP to such a NFC enabled application to just to have some fun to remember this scenario. And the image can be stored permanently and belong to both of you. So I think because I'm a father of a 3-year boy, I definitely want to remember a lot of important occasion or scenarios or moments I want to store permanent for the baby for the child to see in the future. Through this example, what we want to express is we want to emphasize the composability is the key in the Web3. Some people can see this demo or this MVP is we can also achieve that in Web2 with high efficiency and low cost. But maybe we can see some further example. See if we have compatibility in Web3, what we can do. For example, based on the scenario we mentioned earlier, can other people comment our meet? I think this is a very common requirement because when we meet some people, we post some image, we definitely want the friends and family to comment us and to give us some feedback. I think this is a very common requirement for the human. So this is one of the appealing. You can see some decentralized social engagement protocol. It is also based on the Arweave, so it's also decentralized, permissionless, censorship resistant, and permanent. And the key here is this application provides some widget integration. For example, the feature it provides is comment, reaction, and tips. And the most important, as I mentioned earlier, is it supports the widget integration because it not just provides the API, but it also provides some widget so you can use in iFrame to integrate in with our application. So in that case, we don't need to implement our module of comment, reaction, and tips from scratch. and we just use this protocol, use this widgets to add some feature to our application in the short time. And also this data will also be stored in Arweave, and it will also be stored permanently. I think this is a very great experience because we don't need to do everything by ourselves. And the second one is Let's protocol. The scenario is, can we see the recent meet of people we follow? For example, we're still using the example we met Jejo in the concert, and I take picture of Jejo, and maybe I want to know who I follow Jejo in the Instagram, and maybe I want to know when Jejo comes to Singapore this time, what other people he meet. We assume Jeju also using the protocol of our application. So the Lens protocol is a composable and decentralized social graph. So it stores a lot of social relationship. For example, who follows who likes who and who is some friend, who. So then we just simply using the Lens protocol to access people who you follow and create reasonable meet or them. For example, in this through the Lens protocol, I find Jeju follows the another superstar, and then we just using that superstar's ID or Ethereum address to check who they are meet. Then in this case, we don't need to maintain our old user module and data as well as the social graph. We could because in Web 2, Facebook, TikTok, WeChat, they all maintain your own user data and they are not cooperative with each other. So everyone wants to be the most user application. But in the Web3, we don't need to do that. Net protocol already have this data, have this API for us to integrate. Then we just use that. And because of we use that, we also contribute the data to them because the meet is also some kind of social relationship. And if other application or protocol use the meet data we provide, then we make money. The user will also make money. So I think this is the most secret of the Web3 or most interesting part of Web3 based on of the open and the composability and interoperative. So we can enable the user can make money because of his data. The protocol can also make money because of the protocol can be used by others. In this case, we don't need to copy from each other. We just try to find some niche scenario and cooperate with other protocols. So the third question is, how about real friend in life instead of only Web3? For example, Jeju may not be using our protocol or Meet. Definitely he will not use because our application haven't been invented. But we can using some Web2 and Web3 ID aggregator platform to find. For example, I go to the Jejo's Instagram and find Jejo follow another superstar, and then I check that superstar whether he has some Web3 ID because from such an example platform, and then we can find the people who the meet of this person. So also in Web2, when we need to do that, we have to store of this mapping between Web2 and Web3 ID by ourselves. And but in Web3, we don't need to do that. We just use that. So the next question is, can we combine the POAP and the POMP? So POAP is some kind of proof of our attendance. POMP is some proof of we meet. So the Trevor, I think, is definitely a great place to combine these two protocols. I and my friend meet at Thailand when we travel. So this is a application called Chongyou. So we like to record what we have been to in order to show off. So you can see I have been to 61 places like Phuket, Chiang Mai, and Bangkok. So, and then after I upload the image, it will draw some point on the graph, on the map to say, oh, we have been to a lot of places. So maybe we can also do it in Web3 with a lot of fun. Like we integrate some incentive. For example, after I post some images of we meet some people at some place and other people get some insights from our image and our POAP NFT token, then they can tips for us. In this case, the data make of my POAP image and NFT make money for me. In original Web2 is the data all belong to the platform. For the common user, we cannot make money from the of data. So based on the combination of POAP and POAP, maybe we can show more. For example, what are other people also join the event? Because based on the event and the meet data is mapped to this event. So based on the event, we can know what are other people also join this event. And we can also check is just these two people, where they have been to before. For example, this is my wife and I, the travel. We go to Paris, and this is Singapore, and this is Greek, and I think this is also Greek, and this is Thailand. I think then if we have such application and with such a data, then we can do a lot of interesting scenario for both the couples and the two parents and child to remember a lot of the important moments in their history. Also can be used for a lot of event. For example, I met Jack Ma in some meeting. I met Elon Musk in some conference. I think this is all interesting scenario because the data all belong to ourselves and stored permanently. Even the social network ban of account, it doesn't matter. We can still get that. Even our application is just a front application. Even the front application doesn't work, the data is still there. You can build another one to show this data. So I think this is the secret of the Web3 and the most important aspect of Web3. And some people maybe say, if I just travel alone, can I use that? Our answer is can. Because meet with some restaurant is also a meet. Just like the tag function in the Xiaohongshu to tag, oh, this is which restaurant. So in this case, we can also, in the travel along scenario, we can also use the meta protocol. So based on the example, the key we want to emphasize here is the composability is very powerful. We don't need to do a lot of things from scratch. We just go to see whether we have some protocol and application already there, whether we can use that, and after we use that, how can we provide our product for other people to use? So I think such a composability is very important to reduce the cost of innovation. The second point we want to emphasize is the data ownership. Because of data ownership, either the user data, user registration data, user attendance data, I think all belong to the user, and the user can really make money from this data compared to money are mostly made by the Web2 giants like Google, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah. So the next point we think about some fun area is, can I get some bonus if I collect more? Then we think just like protocol, Pokemon Go, I think we can integrate the game to make it more fun. For example, we meet 10 people from the Happy Girl community in the event to win a free 1 hour customized consulting about Web3. I think this is also very common scenario when restaurant or gym to do some customer relationship management. I think based on the NFT and especially the interactive NFT, I think we can create a lot of new scenario for the normal day business life. So we think that only the imagination limits the composable innovation. So you can think a lot of the combination of different kind of protocol and application to make interesting and fun application. Because the most technology behind are open and operationable. The source code are open, the data are open, and a lot of API are provided, make it easy to use, so the interoperationable is very important. We don't need any platform. We just need to using other people. After we introducing some interesting point, we also need to think about the implementation feasibility. For example, because of the permanent storage, Arweave is a little expensive than current normal day cloud storage. This is one image to see $1 can buy almost 200 photos. We think although it's not expensive for rich person from the picture above, but the price still too high for most people around the world. So when considering of this, we maybe need to think some alternative. From product perspective, maybe we can provide some option for user. For example, we provide two options for user. The first is Arweave storage for meaningful meeting. And for all important ones, we could consider other storage, like there's Web3 storage, which is cheaper, but still supporting the data ownership. But the only thing is we need to pay after a fixed time. But I think the user can decide by himself, because if the meeting is not important, it can just delay that. So I think this is why we see product and tech profession are needed for the Web3, especially in Singapore, because all of the thing we just talked about is the product design and technology implementation by considering different solutions. This will help improve the current user experience of current Web3 product. We don't need to talk about the crypto coin price and the formal. I think we can using the Web3 to make a lot of interesting application. One more thing, based on the proof of mid protocol, can we help others rather than just for fun? Definitely cannot. This picture is the background is after my wife and I have kid. Every year the kid birthday, my wife will donate some money to the charity organization, and the charity organization will send the people to bring the money and gift to the rural area to help the people. help the kid in lead. So I think we could also bring the child together to help kids in need, because the child will learn to be grateful and learn to help people. I think this is very important to the whole society, because the life heart brings the greatest accomplishment. These are the three chat screenshots is this child with the help of this lady. They all call this lady mother. So I think, and they will say, oh, whether you are too tired, you need to take care of yourself. After we grow up, we will help you. Also, there is a picture is one of the child grow up and go to the military, and he posted some his image to the volunteer person. And I think all of this accomplish is more important than the money, than the big house, than the promotion. So I think even we bypass in the future, if we have this moment, we make some impact to the society, then this is most important. So we think the proof of multiple code could help more people to join. For example, we could cooperate with the school and NGO to connect children to meet and help the kid in need using POAP as part of their volunteer. For example, when the kid apply college, we will also show, oh, we do some volunteer. The rich person will say we go to the Africa to set up a school. But for common people, we can also using the on-chain achievement to help them to record some volunteer experience. So I think this will encourage more people, more kids to join the volunteer event, helping people in need. So by taking advantage of the idea we mentioned earlier, we could also allow more people donate without doubt, because all the data is permanent store and not changeable. So I think with all the data of the process of result on-chain and unchangeable, I think when people either they cannot to help or join the volunteer event directly, but they can donate to this event with no doubt, because they already the data is on chain, and everyone it will increase the trust. So the third thing is we can teach the child about the Web3 knowledge to allow them to create a more innovative idea to help by themselves. Because we mentioned earlier, the imagination limits the innovation. Usually the kid has a monster imagination, so we teach them some basic skill, and then they can create some tools application to helping people. People give a man a fish, you need to feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifeline. So although we cannot directly teach the kid in the rural area how to use computer laptop, but we can first teach the children in the city how to using the Web3 to build some application to help others. Then they can really build some fancy thing to help the people in need. And then they can gradually to help the people in need. And we hope we have the chance in the future. We go to the rural area to teach the children in the rural area how to using the Web3 to help improve their lives. I think this is the key for the whole Web3, not just the crypto speculative. So the knowledge is the best charity, and the life heart is also need to be developed gradually and continuously. Usually when we are in the university, we do a lot of volunteer activity, but after we graduate and we find job and we have family, we have kids, it's really very difficult for us to have time resource to develop ourselves into this volunteer activity. So if we can help the child to develop their life path from the childhood and gradually and continuously, because of we have some on-chain achievement to help them record to insensitive. So that's will help the society better and better. I think in our next workshop, we will describe more about the volunteer scenario, how we think the Web3 can help the volunteer scenario, enable the volunteer efficiency.